We have an interesting topic today, the ley line that runs along the California coast. Yeah, never thought I would be talking about ley lines and sacred sites, but this one is singing and screaming. So anyone who's interested in ley lines or sacred sites, may this conversation serve. Just to give you something to feel into. I know some of you might be called to this ley line. I refer to it as the Dragon Ley Line. It can also be kind of thought about or felt into as the Sacred Union Ley Line. It can be thought about or talked about as also, interestingly, like a Lemurian ley line. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Okay, so who else would this conversation be for? So anyone who's interested in ley lines, anyone who's maybe called to come out to this ley line that doesn't know about it, anyone who's like visited places along the coast of California and you felt interesting, strange things or seen interesting, strange things unfold, this might bring some insights to those journeys. I know my real estate agent, who very grounded, very earthy, not at all into this stuff. She used to come out here to visit her son, who went to Cal Poly University in San Luis Obispo. She would come out here to visit him in college. Now, he had a wild experience here, but when she would come out here to visit him in college, she would say to me, there's just something very interesting about that place. It's strange. It's strange. It's weird. It's just I don't even know how she would describe it. But she was, to me, referring to the energetics of this ley line. Now, this was before I moved here. So I've lived here in San Luis Obispo County for the last 2.5 years. I've worked intensely here. I've worked intensely with this ley line. Before this, I've worked with other sacred sites in other places in the world, not just the US, some in Europe, some in Australia. Those are my primary locations of working with sacred sites and ley lines and different like energetic vortexes. I'm giggling because this is a little uncomfortable for me. I don't talk about this very often on public podcasts or YouTube videos like this. So bear with me as I work through my little self who's like, all right. So I'd love to just share everything I can as an offering and as a way of gifting from this ley line, from the energetics of this ley line. So this Dragon Ley Line, this Lumerian ley line, this Sacred Union ley line, one of the gifts of it, the offerings of it, or the energetic imprints of it, flavoring of this particular energetic line is the Sacred Union. To me, it's a line that is really bringing forth the feminine in equal parts to the masculine. It's really asking for that. It's like this whole line natively, right? Indigenously was held close to the earth, was held in union with the earth, was held in either a balance or in a feminine way, where it was in honor of the cyclical nature, in honor of the earth, in honor of the land, in honor of more of the feminine aspect of the divine, right? And so that got distorted. Interestingly enough, you can Google search this. There was Spanish missionaries, right, who walked the California coast, setting up missions, setting up Catholic missions all along the way, right? And doing atrocious things, wiping out the original traditions, the original keepers of the land, the original sacred, how do I want to say this? Sacred, I don't even know the words for this, but sacred keepers, wiping that out. And converting things to a very masculinized. We all know the Catholic Church is very masculinized, right? It's wiped out the feminine, and it's like diminished her to Mother Mary, who didn't even like have sex to have a baby. Anyways, these are lots of like interesting things I completely appreciate I grew up Catholic and I have a lot of respect for Catholic. The mystics I listen to are the old Catholic mystics. There's so much wisdom in that tradition. There's not a whole lot of of feminine wisdom. And for me, my experience of it is that it's very imbalanced. The masculine wisdom and the masculine mysteries are really loud there. It's stunning, beautiful, amazing. But the feminine mysteries have been devalued. You just think about like Adam and Eve. Eve was born out of you. You are beneath me. Anyways, we don't have to go into any of that. But that flavored what this ley line is fighting against. And interestingly, isn't it funny that California, I just put these pieces together. You feel for you again. Some of these things are, all of these things are just for you to feel into how this serves for you. But interestingly, isn't it funny that California is like more democratic than democratic? And to me, if you were to look at Democratic versus Republican would be much more masculine. Democratic would be much more feminine. Now, California, some people here, they say that California is more democratic than the Democrats are even comfortable with. So it's almost like this enormous amount of feminine energy trying to come up to bring into balance the masculine and feminine, to bring harmony, to bring union to sacred masculine and sacred feminine energies, which this leads us to the dragon. This leads us to dragon energy. This leads us to a third energy, which we can refer to as the energy that gets created when equal parts sacred feminine combined with equal parts sacred masculine. They create a third energy called creation energy. Third energy called creation energy. This can also, right? This is also interestingly, I'm trying to like weave these threads together in words because this is so beyond words. It's like the line, this Dragon Ley line can take you right into that energy. Like the line, the deep truth of this line, the deep energetics of this line, no matter what the human crap we've done over top of it, but the deep energetics of this line holds these sacred masculine and feminine in union, holds them in union. So you can access directly this already unifying, already perfectly balanced, already harmonized energy of the two, which brings us to creation energy, the third sacred energy, right? It's the divine feminine, the divine masculine combined. They create a third energy. Now this line, dragon line, takes you right to that third energy. It's creation energy. Now creation energy as a sacred energy is an incredibly potent force. In my life, since working with creation energy, I have created more in a year than I created in 8 years previously in ReWilding. I've created more workshops. I've created more things out into the world. I've birthed more things in 1 year than I have in the 8 years previous to this year. Since working with creation energy, it's insane. It's insane. The real legitimate capacities of creation energy for us to create in the world. So it's not just like, oh, wow, that sounds like a great sacred energy. Like, yeah, I want to work with the creator. Yeah, I want to create with the creator. Yeah, I want to access a new sacred energy. This sounds good. Like Kundalini was amazing, but creation energy, oh my gosh, this is where the two are united. It's not just the feminine. So Kundalini could be considered the feminine sacred energy. This is the feminine, the fullness of the feminine and the fullness of the masculine. Wow, I really would love that. But it's not just something to meditate into or to keep outside of ourselves. It's something that changes the whole of our lives. It changes our capacity to manifest, to create, to birth things into the world, to call things into our lives. I mean, on all areas, all levels. It's not just like me birthing spiritual babies and rewilding at all. It's very much every aspect of life, like relationship. I've never experienced relationship to the degree I'm experiencing relationship at this point in my life, having lived, moved, worked on this Dragon Ley line. Okay, I'm getting a little bit too far ahead of myself, but just feel into what really sparks for you. Again, this is just an offering. It's just a gift of something to feel into. Maybe you're just kind of like, wow, I want to experience that. I want to experience, just go along the coast. Big Sur. We've all heard of Big Sur. Now we know that that's a sacred vortex. We know that that's a sacred site. You know it. We feel it. We feel the enormous power in Big Sur. There's a reason that there's a spiritual retreat center built in Big Sur, a very famous one, right? Famous throughout the world. It's a reason it's built there. It's because it is a sacred site. So just go along the whole coast of California. Right? I would say it's amplified north of LA, south of San Diego. for me, from what I've explored. Now, you may have experience with this elsewhere. Drop it below. I'd love to hear. I would love to hear. Okay, let's talk a little bit more around this particular Dragon Ley Line. Something else that this ley line opens up is a real shifting. It's like it's a demand to bring in balance and harmony between sacred masculine and sacred feminine, but it's also a real shifting, a real let me feel, how does it feel? A real like discombobulating of oneself, right, when on this Dragon Ley Line. But it's also, if this line were to represent something amidst the whole of the grid, all of the ley lines, right? It's just one ley line, and I'm just giving you one flavor of one ley line, which is connected to all of the other ley lines or song lines gridded throughout the whole planet. But if I were to bring into you, what else? You kind of want to think about the amount of earthquakes that happen in California. Like, that's the discombobulating, like tectonic plates shifting. That's kind of what this sacred ley line also has a capacity for, is tectonic plates shifting. And it's not just tectonic plates shifting in the earth, like as above, so below, as within, so without. It's also tectonic plates shifting within us, like literally moving things around so that you can get closer to this sacred union, so that you can get closer to working with this creation energy for yourself. And to me, sacred union, creation energy, that is supportive of everyone's soul path, all of our highest path forward, all of our empowerment, the empowerment of having the sacred feminine in you and the sacred masculine in you, right? To have them working in flow and in harmony is enormously powerful for all of our soul's journey, for all of our true north journey, our true self path, our empowerment path. Okay. Something else that I've noticed on this Dragon Ley Line, not just for myself, I've held retreats on this Dragon Ley Line. I've held 2 in the past. There's one coming up in February. It's half full. So there's still, at least at the time of this video, there's still some spots coming up on it. It's for anyone called to bring in more love, light, grace into the world. Really and truly, we call it priestess training, but to me, priestessing is really just whatever form you're called to bring more love, light, and grace out into the world through, right? Maybe you do that through your family. Maybe you do that through your church. Maybe you do that through the things you create in the world. Maybe you're a hands-on healer. Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you're a one-on-one therapist. Maybe you're writing a book. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the form of it. It doesn't, but it's just, how does love, light, and grace want to move through you? And so working on this ley line, right? Working on this ley line, what I've watched is that it opens up our capacity to channel more love, light, and grace further. It kind of plugs you in not just to the grid of the Dragon Ley Line. So let's say you leave the Dragon Ley Line. It just doesn't matter. It just beautifully, innately, it's like tree of life, and it plugs your roots in. It's a beautiful entry point. It's like, I've never experienced an entry point anywhere else in the world like this one, where it plugs your roots in and then it extends you out to all of the other ley lines, all of the other sacred sites, all over the world. So it's an interesting in the ripple effect that it's asking for. It's almost like that's part of the tectonic plates shifting. It's like it's tectonic plates shifting. It's got this enormous potential for change, for transformation, and this enormous potential for ripple effect. And I think part of that might be because it's so close to the ocean. I think it has to do with water, right? Like something along those lines, something along Lemurian. Again, this is just information. This is just a bunch of stuff for you to feel into and take what serves, and, take this further or get really creative with it. Or how does this touch you? Or what does this sing to in you? Or how can you add to this? Maybe write out a big long comment around like what you see, feel, notice, add to it, especially those of you who've been on retreat here, right? The Dragon retreat. And then that last retreat, that Sacred Union retreat last year. And then those of you coming in the Priestess Training retreat that's happening in February 2025. Right? Like, I want to hear from you what it's like for you. So it amplifies our capacity to ripple out into the world. It amplifies our capacity to ripple out in the world. Ripple out love, light, and grace out into the world. How is it that you're called to serve? We're all called to serve in some way. Some of us are called to serve our family. Some of us are called to serve our community. Some of us are called to serve the land. Some of us are called to serve humanity, greater humanity. Some of us, whatever. But it amplifies your service of love, light, and grace moving out into the world. Okay, let me feel if there's anything else that I can share around. There's a touch into Lumerian energy. I don't know that I have a whole lot to say around that, but there's like these mysteries that are held in Lumerian energy. Also, I think I want to talk about the mysteries held in dragon energy too in a second, like the getting your wings and what that means, but I've only got like a couple minutes. So there's the sacred energy of Lemuria. So outside of this masculine and feminine union, opening us up to the creation energy, there's also this Lemurian energy and this Lemurian mysteries, and you can Google that and dive into that a little more. There's actually write-ups on California, the coast of California, and Lemuria. You can dive into that and tap into that a little more. What does it bring? What words can I bring to it? My gosh, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to ground this in. I'm trying to like, how does this change your life? How does this show up in one's life? And I don't think I can talk to that because my sense and what I've seen in myself and in others that have worked here is that it's different for everybody. It's different, but it's like it like Lemurian energy, it like opens up your unique gifts. Whatever those unique gifts are, whatever those like unique soul gifts are, what are your spiritual gifts? It's like Lemurian energy, it just opens them up. This is your soul gift. This is your spiritual gift. This is this. It like brings, and that's why I don't think I can bring words to it or say how it's going to manifest for you, because it's completely dependent on your soul's blueprint, right? Your spiritual. So for anyone who wants to like really awaken their spiritual gifts, some of us don't want to awaken our spiritual gifts, right? Like we don't want to be that powerful. We don't want to be, we don't want to have that much light moving through us. We don't want to have that psychic gift, that gift of the visionary, that gift of the oracle, that gift of the hands-on healer, that gift of the medicine woman. We don't want to have that, but it's going to open them up. It'll open them up. Okay, the final piece that I want to talk about, I'm sorry I keep checking on time. I have a circle to run in a couple minutes, but I couldn't help it. I just had to come here and talk about this today with you. As an offering, like please do not let this be me putting anything on top of you. Let this be like something that rises up to touch you or gift you in the way it's meant to. And if there's anything that doesn't feel right for you, or you're like, the way you talked about religion, Sabrina, I don't like that. That's fine. Chuck it in the fucking bucket. That's beautiful, right? But don't let the things that are meant for you be lost because of the things that don't quite resonate. Okay, so dragon energy. This line also opens up this beautiful, amazing sacred fire in self, like this sacred fire in self. And the sacred fire in self demands, this is interesting, this came about in a retreat, it demands wider consciousness. So for us to fully get our wings, you to fully get your wings, your wings, getting your wings is like the full expression of your unique genius, the full expression of your unique potentials, right? Those soul gifts, all that, your unique genius in this life, your full potential, your wings fucking full out, right? That sacred fire in you being expressed so uniquely, beautifully, imperfectly demands greater consciousness. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Demands us all, you, me, the world, to have greater consciousness. We need consciousness to be much more expanded, to give room, to be able to hold. So it's higher states of consciousness, more evolved consciousness, bigger consciousness, wider consciousness, to hold the amount of genius that wants to move through you, to hold the creations that want to come through you. Isn't that cool? All right. My goodness. If you're called to work on this Dragon Ley Line in any way, shape, or form, do it. Do it in, however, even if it's just you coming out here and meditating. If you want to dive in with me, if you want to dive in with ReWilding, check out that retreat that's happening. If you're watching this while there's still spaces open, I don't know, they're going pretty fast, but at this point anyways, there's still a couple spaces open. So you'll find the details below. All right, my gosh. Huge love to you all, and just grateful to be here with you and that we get to have these conversations like this. Thank you.